What up, though? Welcome to the Hyphen Universe Show. I am your host, Kellen Conley, aka B Hyphen. How's everybody doing today? How's everybody feeling out there? Because I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fantastic. Ah, man. Some things have been happening. Some things have been happening. Cat Williams is right, even though apparently he's a transphobe too. So, yeah. Diddy's houses got raided. Diddy's gone. 50's on Instagram talking about nobody's seen Jay-Z, which makes me, which makes me worry a little bit. Which makes me worry a little bit. Man, you want to talk about devastation? I'm just going to search real quick. Jay-Z investigation. I'm just going to say Jay-Z investigation. Just to kind of calm my nerves. Um, okay, everything's about 50, but uh I mean for years though, with the whole Diddy situation. And to be clear, I literally paid homage to Diddy last year on Hyphenation 202. I talked about how much I love No Way Out and how much I enjoyed Diddy's rapping, and then the last few months have happened. So, first and foremost, I don't want to apologize for a past episode, but obviously, if this man's done the things that he's done, there's no room for any of that, any fandom of any of that. Absolutely not. But there's allegations of sex trafficking. I heard before there was pedophilia. That was what was going to get him taken down as well. I mean, Cassie just accused him of sexual assault, and they settled within 24 hours. So, as Nat used to say, man, Diddy's got a lot of blood in his ledger, a lot of blood in his ledger, and I want no parts of any of it, no parts of any of it, man. Um, and for years, people's always been saying like Diddy's got stuff going on, and it seems like that narrative has turned into, yeah, Diddy's obviously done some horrible things, apparently, allegedly. But that narrative has now been spun into Diddy has. I don't like the part of the narrative. Let me rephrase. That says Diddy has man parties, that Diddy's gay, and Diddy has been on the low all these years and stuff. That's the part that I see, that I've seen get ridiculed more than anything. And while I do not condone anything that Diddy has done, accused of, anything like that, I am not hopeful for this man's exoneration. I do not care. But I can't go with the whole. I don't even like saying no homo anyway, man. Like I gave up no homo years ago. Although Shay Serrano did say on Six Trophies when I was listening to it, he was saying that he liked a a large man in the paint or something like that earlier, and I it kind of crossed my mind. But that was, I don't like to say no homo. I have a lot of gay friends. I support my gay allies, so I feel like that's disrespectful to them for me to be saying no homo. But apparently Mason is saying no Diddy now and stuff, and it's like, if it's one thing is like, if the only thing was, all right, Diddy's in the closet, that's Diddy's business. But love apparently is up to a lot worse, a lot worse. So, whew, and Revolt's already been sold to another black. It's still black owned, but he's already sold that asset within the last 24 hours. Justin and King are in handcuffs. Woof. Although I will always say, I would not be surprised if he had something to do with Kim Porter's death. Would not be surprised at all. Then in other news, the damn ship ran into the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Um, while no tears are shed for that man, and the fact that he wrote a racist ass songs that are our national anthem. You know, that's crazy, man. Like literally, the ship couldn't steer, lost power, and it just went, and the whole bridge just. Never in my life, never in my 41 years have I seen anything like that. That's just some wild stuff, man. And I don't even want to look at the death count. Uh, I, I mean, prayers to anybody whose family was involved, anybody who lost life. I'm sure anytime there's something of that scale happen, it wasn't a natural disaster, but that's just flat out disaster. Anytime something like that happens, you just feel awful. And to think that people were just driving along the bridge and all of a sudden that bitch fell out from underneath them, man. That's scary. I am not a person who has fear of bridges. The Bay Bridge is the one that we go over every year when we go to Ocean City. That thing is huge. It's not funny. I'm sorry. That thing is very large. And it's just I know it never doesn't really bother me. It's like, yeah, I mean, something happens, I'm going into the ocean. That's a huge problem. But I tend to not let my anxiety get the best of me, and I normally don't have a problem. But to think that those people were just driving along the bridge, and all of a sudden, bridge fell out from underneath them, and they lost their lives. That's awful. That's awful, man. So thoughts and prayers, literally, and I mean that for anybody who was involved and those who lost their lives or those who are injured. I already saw on Facebook though, people talking about, man, this ain't coincidence. They covering something up. I'm like what? Why has everything got to be conspiracy theory? Now, me personally, I feel like the moon landing was just a little staged. Little staged. I believe we went to the moon. I just don't think we got there when we got there. But I don't believe it's so much where it's like I'm going to shout down, get in an argument with Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong. Like, you did not go to the moon. You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. I'm just saying. I am just saying, man. Like, they're covering something up. So they ran a ship into a bridge in a major city so that y'all wild, man. Y'all always looking for something wrong. It's always something. I don't know. Mountaineer girls lost to Iowa and Caitlin Clark, man. It was close there for a while. Even Dame Lillard was upset about the foul calls, but I'm just glad the WU sports program had a good showing, man. Like the men's football program been down, and here we go. Go ahead and wave your little flags. We won a bowl game. Good for you. It's been hmm hmm. It's been 14 years. Is my math good? No, my math's awful. It has been 17 years. There we go. Since WU was in national championship consideration in football, it's been 14 years since we went to the Final Four. We just hired this guy from Drake, and people are already complaining about him. I'm just glad the girls showed out, man. And I look forward to next season. And I'm just going to agree with everybody else. Women's basketball is having a huge moment. I have never remembered women's basketball being as popular as it is right now. And that's including when the WNBA started and the ABA. Was it the ABA? Whatever that other women's basketball league was. It might not have been ABA, but they started before the WNBA, like a year before. And then they ended up merging with the WNBA anyway, or they folded and their talent came over. Even then, like I was paying attention because I was in junior high school. I thought it was real cool that the women are on a national spotlight beyond the Olympic team, which the '96 Olympic team, boy, whoo, you want to talk about some dogs? All them women, some serious ball players, man. And even then, like nobody even cared. Like Cynthia Cooper was amazing. Houston Comets. And you mentioned that somebody who was around back then, and they're like crickets. But between Caitlin and between LSU and USC, old girl from Iowa State who got 40 in the first round, man, she went off. There's a lot to be excited for women's college basketball, and the WNBA, the Las Vegas Aces, man, they're a badass team too. They're a badass team too. Women's basketball is having a moment, a serious moment, and I'm here for it. I am totally here for it. So just want to take a second to acknowledge that. Um, I mean, the men's tournament's going on too, which is always fun. Which is always fun. Speaking of basketball, I just want to touch on this real briefly. Y'all know I'm a hater. I'm a top hater. I am. I learned it from Ed Brown. I am a top hater. So, especially when it comes to sports, I have been an infamous hater of Kobe Bryant, who's now one of my favorite players before he passed. Um, LeBron James, who I consider the best basketball player of all time now. Hated him for years. Literally, it was the year they won the series, his first ring in 2012. That was when it finally turned because I wanted to see them lose so bad in 2011, and I got it. Thank you, Mavs. And then to see them come back and then win 2 championships in a row, I couldn't deny him anymore. And then going back to Cleveland in 2016 happened, and 2020 bubble. Yeah, I know it ain't a real championship. So I just get in my head, and I just don't like certain players, man. Um, Patrick Mahomes comes to mind. Travis Kelsey comes to mind. I mean, we talked about this a few weeks ago, and I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to just at face value not like the Chiefs because they're the Chiefs. I need to respect these amazing athletes. I'm at that age where yes, it's cool. I'm a Raiders fan through and through, but I shouldn't be holding such angry grudges at these kids, at these young adults, literally, who are way super talented, and yet I'm sitting here like, oh, I hate Patrick Mahomes. I hope he stubs his toe and his toenail falls off. That's the kind of hater I am. So again, to mention 6 trophies again, fantastic pod by the way. Shea Serrano and Jason Concepcion riding around, and they start talking about because I'm a few episodes behind. They're talking about when the Celtics and the Nuggets faced off, and how Jason Tatum went cold. He had a horrible game and ended up taking the last shot and he missed. And the Nuggets won. And the Nuggets they're saying, oh, they got that championship belt swagger, blah blah blah. They look like they're going to repeat. It's going to be Celtics Nuggets, and I'm a hater. Joe Mazzulla literally went to WVU. All the respect in the world for that guy, but I don't want the Celtics to win. I didn't want them to win when they faced the Warriors. I didn't want them to win last year, and I don't want them to win now. And why is that? I've never cared for Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. Everybody's they're one of the top. They're in the top 10 players of the league. And if I see them, I'm just like, all right. And it's nothing against the Celtics. Larry Bird is one of my favorite players of all time. I enjoyed the Celtics big three. The second big three, if we're leaving out Parrish and McHale and Bird, obviously. But I'm talking about Garnett and Allen and Paul Pierce, even though Paul Pierce is he's a hater like me. He's a hater like me. Paul Pierce gets it. Paul Pierce understands my pain 100%. 100%. And man, it's just like, oh, Celtics. And they're like, oh, they got Porzingis now, and they got so much depth, they got so many weapons, and I just don't care for it. I'm just like, whatever, fine, good for them, good for them. And Giannis, I didn't like Giannis for the longest time. I didn't like Chris Paul for the longest time. I don't like. I don't know. Anytime somebody gets popular, I'm just like, especially in the NBA. Sometimes in the NFL, I hated Tom Brady for years too. Tuck rule anybody, but what is it that just makes me such a hater that I can't sit down and enjoy Jaylen Brown play basketball or Jason Tatum play basketball? I'm just like, I want to see him fail. That's messed up. I don't want to see anything bad happen to him. I just don't want them to succeed. Like, why? Why am I this way? I don't understand. It's rude. It's downright rude. Nikola Jokic. As soon as I got in the finals last year, I was on such a Jimmy Butler push, man. I was so excited that the Heat came out of the East again. I was excited when they came out of the East in 2020 because Butler started with the Bulls. He was a Bull until we traded him to Minnesota, and then you know what happened in Minnesota, which is probably like I loved him in Chicago, but the moment Minnesota, he's like I'm gonna play the second team. I'm gonna beat all y'all. Then I'm gonna go on live with Rachel Nichols and be like, I don't want to be here. Jimmy is. I'm not going. I don't call that man Hemi, but Jimmy is interesting. Jimmy's exciting, man. And like he fits the mold of my favorite players. So underdog, like Iverson's one of my favorite players, if not my second favorite player of all time, behind Jordan. Again, Jordan's my favorite player of all time, then probably Iverson. Then maybe I'll do a list sometime. You know I like to do a list. And then I consider LeBron James the greatest basketball player of all time. LeBron is also one of my favorite players, but he didn't crack that top three. I don't think. It's Jordan, AI, and I guess Kobe would be three, maybe. So he's definitely top five though for me, favorite players of all time. But he had to grow on me. I had to see him literally lose a championship that he went to Miami to win in order to make me happy before I was like, okay, LeBron, have at it. I didn't like the Mavericks and Dirk Nowitzki, but the minute they ended up in the finals against Miami, man, I was team Dallas. I never liked them, man. I was so excited when they lost to the Warriors in 06, man, and they were the best team in the league. I'm just a hater when it comes to NBA, man. But I'm thinking about it, but I didn't like Jokic for the longest time. They got to the finals against Miami, and I was like, man, I hope Miami win. I hope Miami win. So I was just on such a Jimmy, like, Team Jimmy ride, you know? And I was on such a, I was backing Jimmy Butler in the Heat so much, you know? And they went down in 5. And I was like, oh, man, Denver got lucky, blah, blah, blah. Jokic ain't that talented. But just like Giannis, when he won his MVPs, Jokic was winning MVPs. And I just didn't see how. Because, I don't know. Like, I just feel like Embiid's last year, yes, he should have been MVP. But when Giannis was winning it, I was wanting LeBron to win. When Jokic was winning it, I was probably still wanting LeBron to win. And you know, when people get things that I want to go to other people, or when teams get stuff I want to go to other teams, I just hold a grudge. What was my problem with Chris Paul for years? My explanation was I didn't like how he acted when he wanted to get traded from New Orleans. Okay, but then same time, Melo pushes his way out of Denver and goes to New York, and I'm like, I love Melo. I didn't have a problem with that, and it was a similar situation. I acted like Chris Paul did something horrible to get out of there, and literally it was nothing. Like they got asked about in the press, they tried to deflect as much as possible. They weren't happy. They got moved. This is like early player empowerment era, man. So it was weird. It was real weird at the time that things were working out like that. And finally, over the course of the season, as Denver has continued to be Denver, I've grown to love Jokic. I'm like, you know what? And you know what it is? It's because he doesn't care. It's because he doesn't care. Because if Jokic had one iota of ego about his basketball game, I'd probably be like, I hate Denver. I hate Jokic. But Jokic really doesn't care. He just wants to go back home and train his horses, man. That's all that man wants. He wants to be back home. He's doing this so he can provide for his family and go home for the summer. That's all he cares about. You got to respect that. You got to respect the hell out of that, man. So, I never hated the Warriors. I love Steph too damn much. I'm glad 2016 happened because that was incredible. Like, I highly doubt we ever have an NBA Finals that is that good again, where a team comes back from 3-1 and then rips off 3 straight wins to win the NBA championship with 2 road wins, mind you. Um, and like, and like, maybe I'm sure there's people out there who felt this way about the Bulls. It's like, oh, the Bull, I hate the Bulls, blah blah blah. Every time they came into town, Jordan sucks, Pippen sucks, Rodman sucks, Grant sucks. No matter what, there's people out here. Eric Greenlee, Detroit Pistons fan. His Pistons won 2 championships, 3 championships in his lifetime, and 2 while Jordan was literally being beat by them in the playoffs every year. And if I post something about Jordan every now and then, he'll go in there and be like, Mike ain't shit. Now that is hometown root stuff. I get that. That's hometown beef. That's my team. And also, Jordan is literally considered one of the greatest players of all time in any sport. So, obviously, with them beating the Bulls, and then eventually the Bulls beating them, and then the rivalry between Isaiah and Michael, it makes sense that he's like, Mike ain't shit. That's fine. Mike ain't shit. Whatever. Who cares? Who really cares, man? But I just get these irrational things. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else in the league who I feel that way about. Always like Durant and Harden. Not one day in my life beyond once he went to Houston, there has not been a day in my life where I was like, man, I enjoy James Harden. And why is that? James Harden, obviously, he is not the same player, but he's pretty damn good. He's pretty damn good. He's got an MVP. He's scored a whole bunch of points. Yeah, his playoff record ain't that sterling, but that's okay. But why? Why do I care about James Harden and his failures? Like, why do I want to see him fail? Why am I this way, man? I think that's my title right there. I've said that a few times. Why am I like this? I don't know. And I'm trying to think, like, for years, I hated the Yankees. I was primarily a Sox fan, so that made sense. And now, I don't care. I wanted to see Judge break McGuire's record. Yeah, it might come out he's roiding later, but took some PEDs, and that's why he did. Or not McGuire's record, Bonds' record. Damn. I wanted to see him break Bonds' record. And, I didn't want the Yankees to do well, but the Yankees ain't won a World Series since 2009. Who cares? Who cares, man? It's all silly, man. It's just sports, just a game, but certain names, they just, Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Nothing against Porzingis. I don't think there's anybody else in the league who I really feel like that about right now. I'm trying to rack my brain. I never had a problem with Kawhi. Paul George kind of gets on my nerves, but that's mostly because he called himself Playoff P. Giving yourself the nickname of Playoff P when you've never even been to the NBA Finals is crazy to me. It's crazy to me, man. Yo, I'm Playoff P. That's why Dame dropped that shot in your face, and then he had the nerve to call it a bad shot. Paul George, man, this is what I'm talking about. These are the things that I mean. So when players do stuff like that, Paul George is obviously a talented player. Loved him in Indiana. But he's just done some dumb stuff, man. All the best in Clipper world, man. But Playoff P. Come on, bro. Like win a conference championship where you call yourself Playoff P, man. Jimmy don't even call himself Playoff J. He ain't running around calling himself Hemi. He wants to straighten his hair and take weird media day pictures, man. And I didn't even hate the Spurs like that. The Spurs were just boring to me. Like when Duncan and Ginobili and Parker, and they were just boring. The Lakers were my Yankees when they were in the early 2000s when they ran off the three-peat. They were my Lakers. Sorry, they were my Yankees. So that's why I felt that way. I don't know. I guess it just makes the game more fun for me, man. But I'm gonna try to do better. I'm gonna try to do better. So, winding down the show here, guys. I don't feel the need to do a full mental health check-in this month. Those other things I wanted to kind of talk about, but I do want to say, excuse me, I do want to say that I hope everybody is doing well out there as far as mental health goes. I am doing okay. I'm very tired. Haven't slept well the past couple nights, and now I saw something on the timeline that said if you don't sleep well in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, you have dementia in your 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I'm like, oh, great, great, because I'm a night owl. So naturally, damn, LaCroix got me burping, girl. Hey, ladies, I'm burping on camera. How about that? I'm burping on the pod. But, you know, besides that, spring has sprung. It's warm here lately. It feels like summer's coming, which is my season. It's my season, outside of Aquarius season, obviously. Love summer so much, so the fact that those days are coming, the longer days, it really makes me so happy. And the album's finished, by the way. The album is finished. It has been sent out to those who I felt like needed an early listen. I'm going to start stockpiling content so I can start really pushing promotion. I kind of did some of that last week with the lyrics and the photos. There's going to be more of that. There's going to be video content. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. I've had all kinds of ideas. So looking forward to doing more of that. The album will hopefully hit streaming platforms next month. And it's been a long journey. This is the best project I've ever recorded in my life. So I hope y'all enjoy it as much as I enjoyed. Okay, that's not true. As much as blood, sweat, and tears I put into this album, I hope you enjoy it. I really do. It's the best thing I've ever done. I can't stress that enough. But I was sitting upstairs. Me and Angel were watching Under a Tuscan Sun, Diane Lane. Love that movie. Loved it ever since the first time we watched it. Own a burned copy somewhere over there. Love that movie. And we're just watching it again. We started the other day. We're finishing tonight. And I know how the story goes. It's about Frances moving to Tuscany in Italy, and she buys this house, and then she recently divorced, found out her husband's cheating on her, and I'm watching this film for I don't know 15 times maybe, like somewhere between 10 and 15 times I watched this movie, and I'm just looking at the damn scenery, man, and she's riding on a Vespa with this dude to go see her boyfriend, her new boyfriend in Italy, and I'm looking at the background, the sun setting and the water hitting the waves, and then they showed this shot of this field of nothing but beautiful red flowers over this green field, man. And I was tearing up. I wasn't tearing up at the story. I know the story. It was just the beauty that was captured on film, and even there's a scene where the laborers who were working on her house renovating it when she bought it in Italy, they're all saying goodbye. We're like, we're done, we're leaving. And they literally have spent all these months working on our house. They become friends, and they're just taking pictures and saying goodbye to each other. And the little every time the character take the picture on the screen, they would freeze it in black and white and look just like a digital photo. Even though I was sure they were trying for film, but I mean it was early 2000s, so it could have been a fancy a fancy digital camera. But just seeing that, and then it just made me appreciate the beauty in the world, man. And I know it's funny that we end up here after talking about tragedies and Diddy and about me being a hater of basketball players and stuff like that, and basketball teams, sports teams. But the fact that I was able to see that and just really kind of appreciate the beauty around me, that's what I want to share with you for your mental health check-in this month. We're not doing a full-blown check-in, um, but please, my door is open if anybody who hears the sound of my voice wants to reach out to me about anything. As Fraser Crane would say, I'm listening. So sometimes all you need is a sympathetic ear. And if I can be that sympathetic ear, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. Anybody. But if anybody out there needs a moment, man, just stop for a second, look around you, and try to appreciate the beauty in the world. Just the little things. Just the little things. Like dogs laying on Angel upstairs. Like they just freaking love to crawl all over her. And you just love that. I mean, I don't want them crawling over me, but I mean watching them is amazing. Anytime I see Angel with Aaliyah and get to watch them interact, getting to see Aaliyah become more and more of her own person, that's beautiful to me. Walked out of dropping her off at school this morning, looked up, and the clouds had this fantastic pattern, and it wasn't a beautiful sunrise. Wasn't a clear blue sky. It was just these, looked like somebody had finger painted Bob Ross the sky, man, and it was just gorgeous, and I loved that. So I just thought that was wonderful. Those are the kind of things that if you can pause whatever you're going through and kind of just take that in just a little bit, and appreciate it, I think it could help with whatever you're dealing with. The little things add up to big things. You start with one Lego block, click in the next one, and you keep going until you build something. So that's my advice to anybody who needs to hear it. Leave y'all with a recommendation before I get out of here. I've loved Phineas and Ferb for a very long time. Our friend Stacy Brown actually told us about it. She's like, "Hey, have you ever watched Phineas and Ferb?" Because this one, her second one was real. He was still pretty young. I was like, "No, I never watched Phineas and Ferb." She's like, "You should watch it. You really like it." If you don't know Phineas and Ferb, it's literally about the titular characters, title characters, Phineas and Ferb. They're brothers, and every day they say, "We don't know what we're going to do today," and then they're like inventors and super smart, and they come up with all these crazy ideas and do these super cool things. Their sister Candace is constantly trying to bust them, and the whole premise is they do this thing, and then Candace finds out. Candace is trying to get her mom to find them and bust them. By an episode, something happens where this thing that they've created gets taken away, and the mom never finds it. That's the whole premise. And in between that, the B plot is always their pet platypus Perry, who is actually a secret agent named Perry the Platypus, who is always fighting the evil Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz. And so their antics usually tie in with the antics of the boys, and it's all wrapped up in a nice, crisp 11-minute segment. The episodes are 22 minutes, and I'm pleasantly surprised that Aaliyah wanted to watch it. She watches everything on Disney Channel. I don't know what made her go Phineas and Ferb, but I am loving it, and that show's phenomenal. So if you want to turn your brain off a little bit, Disney Plus, Phineas and Ferb, press play. Tell them Hyphen sent you. Tell them that Hyphen sent you. Please? Okay. So, before I go, I have to send out apologies. The clock's running long on me, you know. So Joe Mazzulla, I'm sorry. We'll have to get to you next week. I'm running out of time. And Jalen, I know Jalen and Jason wanted to confront me about how I feel about them, but tell them that also that we're out of time. So maybe next time, boys. Maybe next time. But for real, appreciate each and every one of y'all that listen to the sound of my voice. It is a pleasure and an honor to sit here with y'all and chop it up with y'all for the Hyphen Universe show. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all that take the time. Means a lot. Means a lot. So, the album's done. The pod is done. I'm going to go change clothes. Well, I'm going to go put on some regular sweatpants and some shoes and go get Aaliyah from gymnastics. And I say all that to say this. Thanks, y'all.